I'm a man from the UK, and on paper, the majority of the US population claims to be Christian.
Claims.
Higher percentage than in the UK. UK, it's dwindling. So, in a country where the majority of people, I believe over 60% of Americans, say that they are Christian, and another dozens of percent will say that they're from other faiths and religions, how does this happen? How is both on the moral level and on the courage level, or shall I say the cowardice level? It seems like that should not even be a possibility.
Well, you're dealing with sellouts. People who choose political parties over scripture and their doctrine. Look at this. Right now, there's a large number of black churches who are saying, as we approach this upcoming election, that I'm with her. Right? There are campaigns going on. I'm with her, and her being Kamala Harris. And you have to say to yourself, okay, how can you say that you're with her knowing that she's for abortion on demand? And what does the Bible say about killing babies or murder? We have this thing called the 10 Commandments. Number 6 says, thou shalt not murder. Then when you take a look at Proverbs chapter 6, verses 16 through 19, it tells us that there are 7 things that God calls abominable, one of which is the shedding of innocent blood. Then if you look at the calling of Jeremiah and how before God formed them in the womb, the Lord knew him and predestined him to be a prophet. All right. When you look at that, you see that clearly before a baby is a construct in the uterus of his mother, he's a concept in the mind of God. And man doesn't have the right to remove the concept of God and the natural construct that flows from that. And there are Christians in this nation who are amassing themselves in large numbers and assembling, prepared to vote for Kamala Harris, knowing that she's going to pass abortion laws to kill babies. And they do this in the name of, we don't want to rob women of their rights. And they tell black women, yes, they're going to take us back. They're going to disenfranchise us. And a black woman deals with multiple levels of intersectionality, right? Levels of oppression. So therefore, black women, we need you to be stupid. We need you to abort your own seed. We want you to overlook the fact that there are more black women in America than there are black men. And when you consider that, there's going to be a lot of black women who are not going to get married in the first place. Consider this. And there's so many ways that we can go with this, Zuby. And if I'm rambling, just let me know.
No, it's all good.
Blacks make up 13% of the overall population in the U.S. Black men account for 5% of that number. Black women, 8%.
It's that low. Oh, wow. I didn't know it was that low.
It's that low, yes.
Okay.
Black women account for 8%. And of the black women who are still ovulating, they account for nearly 2 to 3% of the overall population in the U.S. All right? Now, the black women who are still ovulating, they're 2 to 3% of the overall population in the U.S., but they account for nearly 38 to 40% of the overall abortions in the U.S. So when I say to you that there's a black genocide taking place in America, that's true. But I'm only parroting what Jesse Jackson once said. But Jesse Jackson, Reverend Jesse Jackson, He's to blame for the Black church buying into philosophies and ideologies that the Bible speaks against. When Jesse was prepared to run for the office of presidency, he sold his community down a river and no longer would call it Black genocide. He called it something else. Jesse Jackson and your Reverend Al Sharptons and many of your Black clergy in the U.S., they're the reasons why these things are becoming acceptable. And so right now, Kamala Harris is campaigning with the Black church, with the support from the Black church to elect her as president of the United States. Now, in order for a people group to maintain themselves over 25 years, a fertility rate of 2.1 is needed. In 1950, the total Black fertility rate was 3.6. Okay. In 1975, it was 2.3. In 2016, it was 1.832. 2017, 1.824. 2018, 1.792. And 2019, 1.774. What does that mean? It means that we are not replacing as a people group at replacement levels. We are dying. The Black community is diminishing in the U.S. And we have punk pastors like Raphael Warnock, who campaigned and said that he was a pro-choice Christian and a pro-choice pastor. There's no such thing as a pro-choice Christian or a pro-choice pastor. Raphael Warnock is a heretic. That's what he is. It's either you choose to do it God's way or you do it man's way. And there can't be any fellowship with light and darkness. And so, yes, we're in this mess, and I'm speaking of the life issue primarily now, because if we can care less about killing a baby in the womb, to heck with these books. You know, if a child can have their skull crushed, Zuby, have their literal skull crushed in their mother's womb, have their arms and their body parts ripped from their body, if that can take place, of course they're going to push transgenderism upon our kids. Of course they're going to lie to us and tell us, yes, a child needs to see butt plugs and instructions on how to have homosexual sex. It makes no sense. And so, yes, you probably hear the passion in my voice. I am passionate about this issue because lives are at stake. And pastors today are playing footsies with the devil. They don't want to be labeled as a conservative or someone who's a part of the Republican movement or MAGA, Trump, and all that other stuff like that. And I understand that people dislike certain personalities and all of that good stuff. But let me say this. White Republicans have done more for Black people in America than the NAACP, than BLM, and the Black National Caucus combined. That's a fact. Because every time a white Republican comes out and says that we want to ban abortion, eliminate abortion, reduce the point at which we can abort a baby, who does it help the most? I just gave you the stats. It helps us the most. Blacks. And there's nothing more fundamental and important than having the right to live.